Welcome back, Benchwarmers. The MLB Trade Deadline has officially passed, and we want to cover some of the moves that were made.
Who won the deadline and set themselves up for a run in October? Who sold everything to tear it down?
But most importantly, did the D-backs do enough to make another World Series run? I'm Corey, Snakes Alive.
And I'm Brendan, embracing chaos, and this is Our View from the Bench. Before we get started, if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss any one of the new episodes.
Also, if you could please do us the favor, if you like what you see or hear, please don't forget to smash that like button.
Smash it for us. Come on. It's free. Free for you, free for us. Helps out the channel a lot more than you probably think. All right, Corey. Well, in the heat, literally, because it's summertime, of the MLB season, obviously comes the MLB trade deadline. And that's where we're at. That was what, yesterday? No, today. Today, right? Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Today's the 31st. So it was yesterday at what? Like, what? It's like a different time. It's not noon,
Yeah,
is it?
6 Eastern, I think, yesterday, which was
So
weird
weird.
because since I was traveling from the Eastern time zone back into the Pacific yesterday, every time I got a layover in Denver, the time was different. I was like, wait, is it still going? Is it not still going?
Oh, yeah, because you're like, okay, what time zone is it? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So we want to cover some of the big trade deadlines. Obviously, there's a ton that kind of go down at the deadline here, but we want to cover some of the big ones, and then we're each going to pick a winner and a loser of the trade deadline, teams wise. Kind of just our opinions on who we think did what they were supposed to do and who we think forgot that it was the trade deadline. So before we get to winners and losers, let's just cover some of the main ones. You're going to hear us skip some, but that's because those are probably in our winners or losers. So bear with us if the trade that you thought was big isn't up, because we're probably going to talk about it afterwards. So let's start. The biggest one, I think, especially for a team that started really hot and then got on a really, really cold streak, was the Yankees. They went and they acquired outfielder Jazz Chisholm from Miami, right?
Yep.
And it's been great so far. I think he homered in his first game. He's already got like 4 home runs playing for him, so it's paid off so far. Again, it wasn't done yesterday. He's been there for a couple days now. But that was a big one. I was expecting the Yankees to make a splash because they started reeling towards the middle of the season. They started off crazy hot and then just going on like an insane cold streak. I'm talking like, didn't they lose like 18 to 20? Something crazy like that.
It was really bad. It was like at one point they were in like a certain stretch. They were ranked like 29, 28th in the league of that time period. They were just on a completely opposite end of where they started the season.
And I know some of it was a little bit with injuries. I know Soto was out with a hand or something like that for a couple games, but it's nothing that has been like what the Braves have had to maybe deal with their ace and their best player going out for the season or something like that. So I think this is a good pickup. Anything you'd like to add about Jazz?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good pickup. They needed a spark in there, like you said, to get something going. I think he even hit his first home run with Aaron Judge's bat. I think I saw that meme going over. Hey, look, this is Aaron's bat. It wasn't even his own, but hey, whatever gets it going and gets the Yankees. I know they were able to sweep Philly in Philly, so they've got to be feeling good, and hopefully that's a start of a good thing for them.
Yeah, no, that's big, especially, best team in the National League. Granted, you're not going to see him until the possible World Series if both teams were to get there, but it's still a good like grading scale to kind of see, where you're at against top teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And another team that is hopefully trying to make a run in that is the Astros, and they went out and got the left-handed pitcher UC Kikuchi from Toronto for 3 prospects. So another good move by the Houston. Not like the best top line starter or anything, but they needed some depth at the start in their rotation, and this guy's going to fit in nicely. And hopefully, I don't know if hopefully I'm rooting for the Astros.
True, I know what you mean. Hopefully for them.
But for them, for their sake, they're hoping that he can fit in nicely and kind of help. But I don't know. We'll see. The Astros were started off terrible and now have gotten back into the AL West chase. So they're the opposite of the Yankees at this time.
Yeah, true. It's kind of like what they did last year, though. Not necessarily starting terrible, but really coming on and winning the division. I think the last second they possibly could last year, was it? So, and honestly, it never really hurts to acquire talented pitching, regardless of the time of year, but especially if you're trying to make a postseason push. Having an end of the rotation pitcher to kind of help through those long stretches of crazy long series, 3 to 9 games in a 9-day stretch. It would help with that, and then obviously just arms in October, man. You can't beat that. You need pitching. So,
yep, absolutely, especially going into October.
Yeah. Another team that is looking to kind of stay where they were. Now, granted, they were put out fairly easily last year, but they did make the playoffs. Is the Brewers? Brewers added right-handed pitcher Frankie Montas to kind of bolster up their rotation here, and like I said, I know pitching is necessary, but I mean, it didn't really work for them last year. They were supposed to outpitch the Diamondbacks, but the Diamondbacks swept them.
Yeah, 2 games in Milwaukee on the road. That was the beginning of our ride. But yeah, Milwaukee, though, to be honest, Craig Counsell left. They traded Corbin Burns. I don't think anybody expected them to even be in first place in the Central this time of year after what they did in the offseason. So the fact that they're going out and trying to get something and keep their hopes alive and see what they can do in the postseason, kudos to them, at least not tearing it down. I mean, it's not ready to be torn down, apparently.
Yeah, it's definitely more for that status, I guess you could say, of team. It's definitely more than what your loser did. More to come on that. Stay tuned for who Corey has as his loser, but definitely more than what your loser did, Corey. Somebody who you thought might want to be a buyer, and so at least they're trying. Props to the organization.
Yeah, true, very true.
All right, so what's the last big move that we got wrapped up here before we get into winners and losers?
The last one is, and you mentioned the Braves and how they've lost their best player and also their best starter. They went out and, not that he's going to replace Acuna, but they went out and got Jorge Soler and then also right-hand pitcher.
Something.
Which Soler was on the team and so was Jackson when the Braves won in 21, and Soler actually won the World Series MVP. So, and actually, I think Acuna was hurt that year as well and didn't play on the win. So this is a weird. Right. Hopefully, if it's not the Diamondbacks, I'm okay with it being Atlanta if that's the case. If this is what happens, but good move by the Braves. They had to get some pop back in that lineup, and unfortunately, I still think they don't have enough pitching in the starting rotation. But I guess when it comes to playoffs, you only need 2 or 3 guys, and Chris Sale has been lights out there.
Dude, he's been like the old Chris Sale.
I don't know where it's come from. It's like
it's
weird.
But props to him, man. Props to him. Yeah. All right. So those are the big ones. Again, if you missed something, maybe we thought it wasn't as big, or it could be talking up right now. Should we start with winners or probably winners, right? Winners or losers?
Yeah, winners.
Okay, let's go with the winners. I'll start, even though I don't want to.
You're not excited about this.
I hate. Actually, let me take that back. No, I loathe this team. But they do the work that they're supposed to do, that they normally do. Make splashes at the deadline, make smart moves at the deadline. One literally being at the last second, and that's the Dodgers. My in-division rival, can't stand them, want them to lose every single game. But they are a very well-run organization, and, well, I mean, they have the money to do it, so that helps. But beyond that, they really do make smart moves as well, do what they need to do. They've had a lot of injuries pretty much all year, up and down the lineup, from the actual lineup itself to pitching, whether that's bullpen or the starting rotation. And they did what they're supposed to do and, kind of shore it up. They're going to make the playoffs. They're probably going to win the division, most likely. I think they're already still, 10 games up, probably, on... Yeah, I think us Diamondbacks, maybe the Padres.
Actually, it's only down to 5 games.
Hey, all right, okay. Well, they're most likely going to win the division, and very, very certain to be in the playoffs. So they went out, they grabbed Ahmed Rosario again because they acquired him at the deadline last year and then didn't sign him. That's like, bro, just keep him then. Just keep him. If you want him that bad, just sign him.
No, but you know what? He was so good last year when they got him after the trade that they didn't put him on the playoff roster. So.
Well, maybe they should have after that sweep, huh?
No, sweep. Let's let the sweep happen.
That's true. Let the sweep happen. They also went out and got Tommy Edman. They got Kirtmeyer. I forgot what the center fielder that they got. Well, I forgot his name too. Kiermaier, yes, thank you. So that was good. I mean, they're showing up a little thing. You can't really beat their lineup. None of these guys are taking starting position. It's like off days, utility players. If you need a DH in a tight spot, that kind of thing. I mean, nobody's taking freaking Mookie Betts or Freddie Freeman's position, so nobody had to really worry about that. But again, just kind of shoring it up amongst the injuries and not having to have these guys play all 150 plus games would be helpful. But in my opinion, really the real need was for more arms. That's been the Dodgers kryptonite, I guess you could say, over the past few years, is the lack of pitching. They seem to have it, it seems, with names and stuff like that, but when it really comes down to it, they're not doing much, especially the bullpen. So they went out and got Michael Kopech as a reliever, try to really shore up that. That was from the White Sox, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And then the big move, obviously, was at the last second, was getting starter Jack Flaherty out of Detroit. Side note, my haterade is kind of hoping for Jack Flaherty to do what he did last year after Baltimore acquired him at the deadline, which was post a 6.75 ERA. So hoping that he does the same here in LA. Boo Dodgers. But unfortunately, I'll let you kind of give your comments. The Dodgers are my winner, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was going to pick them, but like you, I didn't want to. So thankfully you did, and I didn't have to. Yeah. And also, I know Flaherty, there was talk about him going to the Yankees, but apparently he had a cortisone shot or two in his back in the last month or two, and I think they were a little worried, and I don't know if that comes back to haunt the Dodgers later. But yeah, I'm with you as far as I hope his ERA balloons because I don't want the Dodgers to win. Which Kershaw got beat up today bad too, so it's not looking good right now on the pitching front at all for the Dodgers.
And there wasn't a ton that was really available at the
No.
deadline. Like Jack
Yep.
Flaherty was like the biggest name, and they got him. So it's not like they had, like they've done previously, although it didn't really pan out. But getting Scherzer and stuff like the huge names, and not that Flaherty. I mean, Jack Flaherty is a known commodity, but
Yeah.
he's not some superstar that you're like, wait, they did what? So.
Yeah. Also a local LA guy too as a kid, so he's back home, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's right. There's pictures of I think his
Yeah.
mom posted like, "Hey, we're back," because they were
Yeah.
like a Dodger game when he was like 5 or something like that.
Yep, exactly. So
Okay, so I'm taking the Dodgers as much as I don't want to. I'm hoping that you've got some better news. Who do you have as your winner at the deadline?
yeah, my winner is the Mariners. Big time for me. I think
That was a good one.
I do. To be honest, I've been watching a lot of Mariners games this season in general. I think mostly because they're the latest game on the West Coast, so it's like the last game of the night, and I tend to
Oh,
watch.
that's one that you can actually watch, not in the
Yeah,
LA area. Yeah.
yeah, stupid blackouts. So yeah, so I've been watching a lot of games, and they're a really fun team. They kind of remind me of the Diamondbacks, where they have some good pitching, they have some like good role players, and then they have like Julio Rodriguez is kind of like their Ketel Marte. Like they have certain guys in certain spots. It's just like an overall good team. They went out and got a Rosareno who was in a World Series with Tampa, although they lost. They went and got
Huge pickup though, dude. I think that's such
yeah,
a big pickup. I like Randy Rosarino.
big
Yeah.
time. And then they go get Justin Turner, who won a World Series with the Dodgers and has been Mr. Clutch in October for them every time they've been there in the playoffs, which is basically all the time, as you know.
And it's just experience too. If it's not even him, he's getting the locker room moving.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Mariners are in a good spot. I know the Houston's right on their tail right now for the AL West, but I just feel good about Seattle. I think they have a good vibe going in that locker room, and now bringing in those guys, I think they're gonna. It's just adding a lot of experience to a really young team that's already been kind of building over the last 2 or 3 years, and even kind of pushing themselves into a playoff chase at least last year as well. So I think it's exciting that the Mariners are going all in and taking a shot.
I'm kind of with you on the rooting for the Mariners bandwagon. I've never had anything against him. Ichiro was always a cool guy. Griffey Jr. played there. A-Rod played there. That's where we got freaking Randy Johnson, all the whole nine, right? So I got really nothing against the Mariners, and I think they are fun to watch. Shout out to Jasmine, who went and saw them last year. That's her new American League team because she is. And then unshout out to Jasmine because she's a Dodger fan. So, LA kid, I can't hate people who like the team where they're from. I'm just not a fan. That's all. But yeah, no, I think that's a really good one. I think that's a great one.
All right. So now we move on to the losers.
Moving on to the losers, the Big L. And the Big L for me is actually at the Big A. That's right. Moving down in your AL East, moving down towards the bottom of the standings. And that's the Angels. Now, people might be saying, well, what do you mean? Who are they supposed to go acquire? Nobody. That's the point. But what they were supposed to do is sell everyone except damn near Mike Trout, to be honest with you. Now, there's some people that you'd like to sell, Rendon, who nobody wants, so you're kind of screwed. But there are plenty of people on good contracts. Not that even matters in Major League Baseball, to be honest with you. But there's plenty of people on good contracts that are ready to be good pieces on a playoff team. And they sat around and traded a couple okay players, and that was pretty much it. Got damn near nothing back. So my opinion, my question is, what the fuck are they doing? Why don't you just try to sell all the damn young talent and actually try to do a rebuild? I understand Mike Trout, but it's not happening. It's not. You got freaking Shohei Ohtani and you didn't make the playoffs. Okay. It's not happening. I don't care what you want. I guess I don't know. I don't even know anymore. I just don't try. Do try. Who knows? But the annoying part is that there's fans in Anaheim and a lot of Orange County that have supported this team very well. They're one of the teams that sells out state. Now, granted, maybe people don't go, but they buy the tickets and they sell out almost every year, and they just lose almost every year. And I just don't get it. So let me do a recap of what they did at the trade deadline. No major trades to go and get younger or get good prospects. They didn't deal their top trading chips to go and get any of those assets that I talked about. They placed Anthony Rendon on the injured list, who's hitting an amazing 227 this year. And they announced Mike Trout may not be back for the rest of the season. So, fantastic job. Fantastic job, Angels. You guys are a bunch of losers. I have no idea. And they're probably going to fire Ron Washington and blame everything on him. So, I don't even know. Who cares anymore? It's such a disgrace. I don't know why I kept it both LA teams, but that's just kind of how I felt today. So, Angels blew it, bro. like they always do.
I would say like they always do. Artie Moreno is the worst owner in all of baseball. Maybe besides Fisher up in Oakland, but that's a different kind of reason there. So, but yeah, Artie Moreno's a terrible owner. Never knows what he's doing. Has gone through. I don't even know how many GMs and coaches in his tenure at this point. It's just a sad show.
Sad. That's a good way to put it. It's just sad.
Yeah, it's not good at all.
No.
Yeah.
So let's get to your loser though, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit that who we were talking about with the Brewers, kind of doing something even though they're in the middle. Who you got as your loser?
Yeah, so my loser is the Giants. I know they're 5 games out of a wild card with a couple of teams in front of them, and so it's like you don't want to go too much in. But they did give up Soler to Atlanta. We talked about, so they did shed some salary. So they're trying to get under like one of the tax, the salary tax thing or whatever they have. So but they're also like not bad enough where it's like you can tear it down. They're kind of right there. Like they could make a run, but they also could not make a run. And I don't know as the GM of that team if you feel confident enough to like go for it, and then if you spend too much and then you end up not making it, or if you get in and you don't think you're good enough to really like maybe win a series, but is it worth it to put money in to just make an appearance? Like I don't know what the Giants are doing. But they do have really good pitching in Webb and Snell, but like beyond that, like I don't really know what they have going on there as far as like a core that they're building for the future with.
Yeah, and that's almost one of the worst places to be. Baseball's a little bit different because of no salary cap and even trades. They don't have to be even at all. Like we just give like random stuff and
Yeah.
you get great players. So it's a little bit different. But mediocrity is one of the worst places to be because, and comparing it to like football and basketball, you're not good enough for a good draft pick, but you're not good enough to make the playoffs or do anything, but you're not bad enough for a good draft pick. You're just stuck, and that's kind of where, to your point, where the Giants seem to be.
Yeah. So
I
stuck
mean,
in there.
they're
And not only that, they're in 4th place in the division because the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and Padres are all at the top 3. So they're not even in the top 3 of their own division. They're that far back. So I don't know how far you think you're going to make a run, even if you were to make the playoffs in some miracle run.
Yeah, so either keep some of these players, right, or sell more is what you were saying. Yeah,
tear it down.
Mhm.
Tear it down.
Well, besides talking about teams we don't freaking care about, I'm just kidding. We care about baseball
You did that
as a
on
whole.
yourself.
We care about, yeah, I know that's my bad. We care about baseball as a whole, but we're gonna take it down and talk about the real action here for all of us Diamondbacks fans. I know we've got all 3 of you out there watching, so thank you. I know me and Corey are one of them, so just the other guy. Woo! Uh, but let's talk about what the Diamondbacks did for their run and seeing if they can, kind of make another push for. Okay, World Series might be another stretch, but
Yeah.
I mean, anything's possible, right?
Heck yeah, we learned that last year. We made it in the playoffs as the wild card, and somehow they got there. I think they did a good thing, man. They brought in some more the relief in the bullpen with AJ Puck and Dylan Floro, which we talked about earlier before prepping how we traded for Floro in the middle of the series against the Nationals, so he just had to change one clubhouse to another.
That's kind of cool, actually. That's pretty
Nice.
funny.
That's easy. You don't have to get on a
Yeah.
flight to get anywhere. So, but the defense has been picking up. The Alec Thomas has come back, and he's been a spark plug like in the lineup again. Corbin Carroll has somehow found his swing and hitting the ball. Eugenio Suarez has had, I think he should win NL Player of the Month for July for sure. I think he had like 10 home runs, 27 RBIs in the month.
Dude, it was insane. Every single time I freaking see a highlight, it's the Diamondbacks posting about another Suarez home run.
Yeah,
I'm just like, damn.
he's killing it. So now the one bad thing is the day of or the day before the deadline, Christian Walker left the game with a tight oblique, and kind of we'll see what happens. But they went out and got Josh Bell, who got DFA'd from Miami, in just a player to be named later deal, just to get
Or cash or whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know how the injury of Christian Walker is going to be, how bad it is, or how long it's going to be, but they did go out and get Bell, who he's 258 career hitter, nothing crazy, but he does have a little bit of power, 17 more home runs the last 3 years, and he's already got 14 this year. So he's got a little bit of pop. Now, defense at first, maybe not as good, but he's solid. So I think it'll be all right as long as the rest of the guys continue to do their job.
Yeah, I think Miami DFA'd him mostly for his hitting, which honestly, for a first baseman, unless you've got like not every first baseman, I'm not like, oh yeah, that guy's a good hitter. Oh, the first baseman, that's the place where hitters are. You know what I mean? I'm not saying there's none, but like it's not like this typical like powerhouse place. So
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's like an older guy, like when Pujols went there, or
Yeah.
things like that. Then you're just like, okay, maybe. But yeah, I think it's a kind of a good pickup. The biggest thing that I liked was the AJ Puck signing. Did they really, really needed pitches? I really saw actually a stat that showed the Diamondbacks are dead last in swings and misses out of the bullpen specifically. Our starting rotation is actually pretty solid, and our bullpen was actually our strength last year.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that the bullpen can kind of get re up to where they were last year, since our starting pitching has kind of caught up, and they'd be really good. But AJ Puck has a 35% swing and miss rate, which is high up there. I don't remember where it ranks in Major League Baseball, but it's definitely going to help that. It's not having to rely so much on that great defense that you talked about. Let's strike some people out. Huh? Let's
Yeah,
get them actually just out. So,
that's
uh,
always
yeah, it's always good. When you mentioned Josh Bell, I was actually kind of confused when I was sitting at work with Jasmine, and we were kind of just working on something, and then she brought it up. She's like, "Oh, you guys got Josh Bell, first baseman." I was like, "We got a Why would we get a first base? We don't need a first baseman. If there's
no.
any position that we don't need, it's first base.
Right.
Like, why don't we go get pitching?" And then that's when the kind of thing came out later. It's like, oh, Christian Walker's hurt. The
Yeah.
initial timeline that I saw was 3 weeks.
Oof. That's why they went and got Bell. Then it wasn't just a couple days. Okay, that makes
Yeah, no, that's the initial, and who knows what it actually is, right? That's just the initial timeline is 3 weeks.
yeah.
So
But you
after
know
seeing
what?
that, I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But really, I'm excited to see the talent that we added, but mostly the talent in the bullpen. It's a hot team right now, so hoping
Dude,
they can kind of keep it rolling.
playing well right now, and not only that, and like even when Christian Walker does come back, if it's mid to late September, like Josh Bell can play DH and he's a switch hitting power hitter. So like he's not going to be somebody we got. Honestly, I think Jock Peterson him kind of play the similar role moving forward if they can keep them both on the roster. Like
But
having a
Jock's left only, right?
left only, but's got some pop off the bench if you need a
Oh,
pinch
he's
hit
fire. Oh, I
or
like Jock. Yeah,
Jock can
I'm with
play
you.
left or right field on the pinch, or Bell can play first base in a bench if Christian Walker needs a day off his feet and you want to DH him when he's back. Like if you need to work him back that way. So
Smart. I like
however
that.
they got to work it back and keep him on the roster, I think it could be something that comes back and is a good thing in the long run.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. I agree with that. Yeah, I think the Diamondbacks did a
Oh,
pretty
let's
good job.
go.
Again, huh?
I said, plus I want to make another run. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I'm down. I'm down. Um, it's for a small market team. I Not the off season somehow springing from Montgomery at the end. This trade deadline getting the little pieces to kind of add up. I like it. Now, granted, obviously our core is signed for a while, which is good. But yeah, you got to keep tinkering. Don't just sit just because you feel like you're doing well. Do what the Dodgers do. Unfortunately, as much as I hate to keep referencing them, there's a reason why they're always at the top. Now, granted, they only win in shortened seasons, but they win a
Facts.
lot of games. So the idea of never being satisfied and always keep tinkering if you can is something I like to see, especially like I said, from a smaller market team.
Yeah, absolutely. And after the way we went the last year, like I said, hopefully they can keep it carrying this year and keep just get in the playoffs, and they know what they can do when they get there. Gabby Moreno's a catcher. We talked about that before the season started. He's a big part of the reason why this team is as good as it is and the way it goes.
Yeah,
They're doing their thing, and they're just keep it up. Let's just keep it up.
keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Well, we want to hear from you too. Let us know down in the comments below if your team did anything worthwhile and who you thought made the biggest leap with the acquisitions that they made at the trade deadline here. You heard who our winners were. Let us know who your winner was and if your team did anything that would actually mean something. Or if you're an Angels fan, just go ahead and put a smiley or a sad face emoji down in the comment section. That way we know. We see you. As SoCal natives and someone who used to work at the Angels like Corey did, we may not be fans, but we don't like to see them do poorly. So throw that sad face down in the comments for us. But appreciate everybody stopping by. Thank you as always for seeing things from our view from the bench. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.
This was a Sycamore Fourth Studios production.